Hi, I wanted to invite you to a special presentation during Blackboard World. This presentation will cover some of the best practices in inclusive teaching in inclusive classrooms. As a preview, I wanted to show you in Alexa or Amazon Alexa a skill that was developed as part of just a summary of inclusive teaching strategies. If you have your own device, you can go ahead and turn it on and install the skill. But I will show you here how it works. That way you'll be able to take a closer look in this video. So I have here Alexa, which is an emulator, and we'll go ahead and activate it. Open Teaching Craft.
Inclusive Teaching Tip 12. Whenever possible, select texts and readings whose language is gender-neutral and free of stereotypes, or cite the shortcomings of material that does not meet these criteria. To hear all tips, say, Alexa, ask Teaching Craft for the full tour.
Alright, so Alexa will give you a random tip on inclusive teaching when you say something like, Alexa, ask Teaching Craft for a tip, or Alexa, ask Teaching Craft to tell me something. But you can also hear all the tips and you would ask for the full tour. We'll do it right now. Ask Teaching Craft for the full tour.
This is the full guided tour. We have 20 tips. Inclusive teaching strategies refer to any number of teaching approaches that address the needs of students with a variety of backgrounds, learning styles, and abilities. These strategies contribute to an overall inclusive learning environment, in which students feel equally valued. Why use inclusive teaching strategies? Ambrose et al. 2010 states, even though some of us might wish to conceptualize our classrooms as culturally neutral or might choose to ignore the cultural dimensions, students cannot check their socio-cultural identities at the door, nor can they instantly transcend their current level of development. Therefore, it is important that the pedagogical strategies we employ in the classroom reflect an understanding of social identity development so that we can anticipate the tensions that might occur in the classroom and be proactive about them. Tip 2. Barbara Gross Davis in her book Tools for Teaching says, there are no universal solutions or specific rules for responding to ethnic, gender, and cultural diversity in the classroom. Perhaps the overriding principle is to be thoughtful and sensitive. Many of the tips in this Alexa skill are based on her recommendations. Tip 3. As a teacher, recognize any biases or stereotypes you may have absorbed. Tip 4. Treat each student as an individual, and respect each student for who he or she is. Tip 5. As a teacher, rectify any language patterns or case examples that exclude or demean any groups. Tip 6. Do your best to be sensitive to terminology that refers to specific ethnic and cultural groups as it changes. Tip 7. Get a sense of how students feel about the cultural climate in your classroom. Tell them that you want to hear from them if any aspect of the course is making them uncomfortable. Tip 8. Introduce discussions of diversity at department meetings. Tip 9. Become more informed about the history and culture of groups other than your own. Tip 10. Convey the same level of respect and confidence in the abilities of all your students. Tip 11. Don't try to protect any group of students. Don't refrain from criticizing the performance of individual students in your class on account of their ethnicity or gender. And be even-handed in how you acknowledge students' good work. Tip 12. Whenever possible, select texts and readings whose language is gender-neutral and free of stereotypes, or cite the shortcomings of material that does not meet these criteria. Tip 13. Aim for an inclusive curriculum that reflects the perspectives and experiences of a pluralistic society. Tip 14. Do not assume that all students will recognize cultural, literary, or historical references familiar to you. Tip 15. Bring in guest lecturers to foster diversity in your class. Tip 16. In an online class, use alt text to provide access to the content of images for individuals who cannot see them, including people using screen readers or braille output devices. Alt text is supported by most document formats, including HTML, Microsoft Word, and Adobe PDF. Tip 17. Use headings and subheadings to form an outline of the page or Word document. They help non-visual users, including search engines, to understand how the page is organized, and make it easy for screen reader users to navigate. Tip 18. In an online class, mark up tables appropriately. Use HTML markup properly to explicitly communicate relationships between column and row headers and the data cells within their scope. Tip 19. In an online class, be sure foreground and background have adequate contrast. There are many free tools that can help with this. Tip 20. When using video content, create a script that includes brief descriptions of important visual content, then provide that as a separate description track, either as timed text or recorded narration. This is called an audio description and is intended for people who are unable to see the video. Tip 21. Thank you for listening to the full tour. Anchor down. Lakers for a lifetime.
Alright, so that's the Alexa skill that you can install on your own device and then enjoy some of our inclusive classroom tips. Thank you.